So most doctors at that stage also were not ready to operate on me. They said, I'm very young, I'm not married, I don't have kids. They don't want to take the risk of removing one of the ovaries in my body.
Okay.
Because what if tomorrow, my in-laws want kids and etc. etc. Absolutely.
I mean, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, it's a solvable problem.
Yeah, but when you say the thought process that I'm sorry, I'm going to get into all of these details. What can you wake up for every morning and give
Yeah.
18 hours?
I started a condom brand in the first 2 months simply through organic PR and word of mouth. We sold some 20,000 boxes of condoms. Can you believe it?
So yes, let's talk about the male founder versus taboo topic for the world, but let's talk about it.
I think, मतलब एवोल्यूशनरी है, लिमिटेड रिसोर्सेज है, लिमिटेड औरतें को ग्लास सीलिंग तोड़ने का मौका मिलता है.
When I started for the first time in 2014, colony ki aunties were like, "Hi Bitchaari, she's starting alone, unmarried hai." It quickly went on to becoming badi tez hai, bitch type ki, about something they had no idea about. And I realized then that this is the life of an ambitious woman, living in the spectrum of bitch to Bitchaari, our opinionated, ambitious Bharatiya Nari. Hi guys, welcome to the first episode of the Bitchaari podcast. Aruna is my first guest and I'm so excited to have her because literally in the last 1 year I have seen her do 100 things. You know what you say about women, they can do everything. Aruna is that person. You've done PR, you've had a cafe, you've sold condoms, you do a lot of great consumer research. Now you are building Salad, which has everything to do with hormonal health. So I'm so excited, man. I want to learn so much, and more than that, I want to add value to any woman's life who's watching this right now. So should we start?
Yes, let's go.
So I have a very interesting or maybe an intense first question. I've heard that in 2016 you had a surgery.
Yes, I do.
I want to know everything about it and tell me how it felt, what happened, and what is the kind of impact it had on your life.
I think just the way girls are introduced to womanhood is so scarring, right? कि अब आपके periods शुरू हो गए हैं, now you're a woman, 5 days a month, you are going to bleed, it's going to be a very sorry state of affairs for you, and it's just become such a scarring mentality and we go through it for our life. So day one, when I bled for the first time, and thankfully my mom had prepared me about what was to happen. I was 13 years old and I was in excruciating pain. So much so that I had to get injections to get that pain resolved. Thankfully, my parents didn't say that, I'm just overreacting, sabko hota hai, deal with it. They took me to the doctor right then. I was diagnosed with PCOS at the age of 13. So it's not like, I had a bad lifestyle that led to that. I was a kid, right? I didn't even know what all of
When
this
did you
was.
have your first period? Sorry.
13 years of age.
Okay.
And so started treatments and solutions for it and lifestyle changes. Now, very lucky and very grateful that my parents did not stop at anything to get me the best kind of treatment. I come from a family of doctors or naturopaths, etc. So we had access to the best resources. And despite that, for the next 10 years of my life, was doctors telling me that, let's not do any surgery, let's not do anything intensive, because what if tomorrow, your child has to get married and they'll have a problem with stitches and surgeries. My parents just did not accept that, right? They didn't stop at anything. And despite following every single thing that doctors would tell me to do or, advise me to do, to the point that my life was literally at a standstill. But by the time, by 2016, my condition had worsened so much that I had to get one of my ovaries removed because it had become cancerous. That frustrated me and that made me so damn angry. Because there's nothing that I hadn't done. It's not like, I didn't have the money to access the best resources. I didn't have the best doctors working for me. But a problem that 1 out of 4 women in India face, and we still don't have resources for it to solve. That frustrated the shit out of me. And what made me angrier was just the reluctance of medical professionals at that stage. And not to fault them, there's just no research done in this space, right? the fact that you should resign yourself to a life of no hard work, because your body will just not allow you to do. Just go have kids, and then we'll deal with all of this. I was in law school at that time, and I just couldn't perform to the best of my capacity. I wanted to study. I wanted to go for moot courts. I wanted to go out and have fun with friends, but I just couldn't. And it was so debilitating that after this surgery, and there was a period when I was awaiting results, and because it was, and like at that time, it was also that potentially you don't have a lot of time left because of how bad the condition
But
is.
even after the ovary is removed?
During
During
that
the
time,
time,
when
yeah.
we were waiting for results
Yeah.
to come back,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that just made me realize I have not lived my life at all, right? And because of all of this. That really changed things for me. I think that was the turning point in my life, and I really changed as a person, my focus, or just the things I wanted to do or prioritize. Took health in my own hands in some ways at that time. Started reading a lot about nutrition and Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine, and started working on my lifestyle myself that way. Obviously, that meant that I couldn't pursue law as a career because it just didn't work for me. The way the legal system works today, you have to spend a lot of time. There's like, from what I could see, or whatever options were available for me, there was really not a lifestyle that was healthy for me, and I had to take a step back. The last few years of my life, since 2016, have just been trying to live the healthiest life possible so that I can show up and lead a fun life. It's really because I want to have a great time while I'm here, that I want to make sure that I do the best possible for my health, so that I have the energy. I have, I'm not bedridden 5 days a month, because that's a lot of time, right? I don't want to spend that much time not being able to move around.
No, totally, dude. And so, 2016, how old would you have been?
I was 21.
21. And when you're saying that you can't do this, you can't do that, do you mean that once a month? Or was it always like painful? You were always thinking that, this can go wrong if I overexert. What was that feeling like?
So the way our hormones work as women is that our periods is just one phase of our menstrual cycle, but we also have 3 other phases, right?
Yeah.
When your hormones are imbalanced, it shows up in different ways. So during your periods, you'll have a lot of pain, but during the rest of the month, you might have brain fog.
Yeah.
Because your hormones are following during your luteal phase, or you just don't have the energy to socialize.
Yeah.
Because you spend the rest of the time recovering.
Yeah.
Or the fact that you emotionally also, you're always dreading the time you're going to get your periods next. I'm right now.
That is so
Yeah,
true.
and every single woman goes through
Like
this,
half
right?
the month to goes in this only. Expecting, thinking, and then late, and then I think
Yeah.
my whole life goes in this.
Absolutely. I'm in a position now where I'm on my periods today,
Yeah.
and it doesn't impact the quality of my life at all, because my hormones are balanced right now. I lead a life that's, I'm not scared of getting my periods at any time. I can still show up to the best of my capacity, not because I'm overexerting myself anymore or going beyond my comfort level, but just because I'm comfortable in my body at this point, and my body is supporting me. I think that syncing up has been life-changing for me, and that's in fact what we're also building at Salad, because it's crazy that 50% of the world's population today still can't figure out how to live with their body. It's not like this data doesn't exist. It's not like this research has not been done. This exists. This is traditional wisdom that's done. So Western medicine has started to pay attention to this. We just need to step up and actually start to prioritize ourselves. This is simply a matter of saying that I am bloody important. It doesn't matter what other people think. I am important for myself. मैं अपनी favorite हूँ, और मैंने अपना ध्यान खुद रखना है, और कोई रखे ना रखे.
No, I agree, but something I often think about. So by the way, I think I was also diagnosed with PCOD when I was probably 22, 23, and बचपन से ना everything, like every little thing I used to panic about when it comes to health. ठीक है? तो मुझे कुछ permanent नहीं चाहिए था. तो obviously PCOD and PCOS, when you think about it, you think कि यार अब तो that's how you think.
Yeah.
I don't know if you thought like that. I'm sure you did. But I was, the moment I saw it, I was like, shit, my life is over for some reason. So I went back to Bombay, and I went to a gynae to kind of test ki, how does it limit my life? I didn't want to take the medicine. So So there is some kind of taboo that comes with कि यार having medicines over the years every day etc. What do you think about that? Because you're saying कि अच्छा Western medicine में लोग कर रहे हैं, people are working on it, right? Are people comfortable with taking those medications? Are most women because I'm sure you guys have been doing research on that. I want to tell me a little bit about that.
I think हमने ना इसको बीमारी बना दिया है when it's just a lifestyle condition, right? The big challenge is that we think of when we look at conditions like this which impact women, and 70% women in India also today have hormonal imbalances. They need some kind of intervention or the other. Generally we think of this as sick care. कि ये बीमार है इनको दवाई दे दो. It's not sick care, it's health care. Our food is medicine, our lifestyle is medicine, our fitness and movement is medicine, right? We don't look at it more holistically. We just say दवाई दे दो, symptom mask कर दो, 10 साल बाद देखेंगे क्या problem होती है. That's not how holistic health care can work. That's just masking symptoms and focusing on just sickness. We're not sick. When we look for period leaves, we're not doing it because we're sick. It's a part of our life. We have to learn how to live with it, and it's not something that demeans us in any way. Our bodies just function differently. Right? And I think that kind of knowledge or this kind of holistic healthcare focus has started to come in, and it's very exciting for people also, right? Imagine just knowing the best way to eat the kind of food you like, not having to restrict yourself and still leading a healthy life. There's no guilt attached to the way we lead our life. And I think that's very exciting globally around the world. So when you look at continuous glucose monitoring, when you look at continuous hormone monitoring, the idea simply is this data exists. Can I use how my body functions and whatever signals my body is telling me to optimize for it?
Do you use one of those devices?
Yes.
You do.
We're going to bring it for salad as well, but right now I use it for testing.
Oh,
and
that
for
is
my
super.
Knowledge.
Can you just send me one?
I will.
It's very expensive. But it's true. But see, again, I'm just talking like a common man, right?
Absolutely.
Like that's how you think about your health. But that's an interesting point, right? What you said that कि everything is medicine. यार मैंने life में कभी ऐसा सोचा ही नहीं. I was like यार medicine is medicine. You're sick, so you're having medicine. But so what happened with my PCOD is recently I got to know I don't have it anymore. I've never taken medicines, but I started exercising a lot. And actually I got into yoga very recently. So the doctor just told me कि शायद. So I found it very funny कि एक तो मैंने like a couple of times I checked it and तब था and suddenly नहीं है, so I don't know what happened, right? But so you're saying that when you on salad for example you will have like a customized thing ना कि यार maybe you don't need medication, and for you medicine may be different.
Absolutely.
For Aruna, medicine may be different for her hormonal health.
That's really the idea, because not every condition needs a medicine, right? That's not a blanket solution. Every body is different. We're not, I think like a big challenge is that we look at disease first and bodies and lifestyles secondly. But if we start looking at lifestyles first, if we start looking at bodies first and their bio-individuality first, the disease is just a symptom of your hormones not being balanced, right? It's a consequence of that. Can we solve it at the root in a way that's sustainable, that doesn't make you feel guilty or make you go out of your way to lead a life that you maybe don't want to lead?
Now tell me, what is then the root when it comes to hormonal health? कहाँ पे तुम पकड़ोगे कि now you can start correcting it? So for example from at salad, how will you go from 0 to 1 in this?
So one quick science behind it, right?
Yes.
Our body works on a 24-hour cycle. We wake up in the morning, go to sleep in the night, because that's how our circadian rhythm works. The female body also has an infradian rhythm. You know how
ये जो तुम terms use कर रही हो, I love it. Please can you repeat those two terms?
The 24-hour cycle
yes.
is the circadian rhythm, where we follow the sun basically, right? Where it's longer than that is the infradian rhythm. In animals, you see it in hibernation, for example, when they go off to sleep for 5 months, 6 months, etc. In a woman's body, it also shows up in your period cycle.
Got it.
Right? It's not just the 5-6 days that you bleed, it's the entire month around it. So your menstrual cycle as a whole, right? Think of the earth revolving around the sun, but also rotating on its axis. What's happened is, traditionally, as that we've started to treat women's bodies as the same as men's, because of limited access to that kind of healthcare, and it's become temperatized. our bodies don't function that way, right?
Of course.
And a man's hormones work on a 24-hour cycle.
Yeah.
Ours work on a couple of days of cycle, right? Our estrogen is not the same at the same time every day.
sure, yeah.
It rises over a couple of days, then it starts to fall. Same for our progesterone, same for our testosterone, same for our serotonin. And the whole concept of living with your body or focusing on hormonal health means that for each phase of your cycle, you eat a certain way, or you work out a certain way, or you prioritize your lifestyle a certain way. One of the easiest ways for women who bleed is to start focusing on your period data. You don't even have to go get lab tests to figure out if your hormones are balanced or not. Do you get painful periods? Do you have hormonal acne? Do you feel very bloated or insomniac right before your periods?
Yeah.
Do you have very low energy through the month?
Yeah.
Do you have brain fog at certain times of the month?
Wow.
Even when you're not, like.
And you can keep tracking that.
You can keep tracking that. This is a sign of your hormones not being balanced.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't even have to be as complicated as, getting lab tests and figuring it out. If your periods are not painful, if the cycle is timed properly, if the color of your period blood is healthy, then you know that whatever you're doing is at least good for you right now. It may not be perfect. I'm not saying it's 100% there, but it's great for you. You're not sick at all.
Yeah.
And that's the easiest way for us to get started. And this is not something that I'm saying today. This has been traditional wisdom for years to come. Our dadis and nanis have been telling us this. Somebody told them, and this is common knowledge, especially in traditional wisdom.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I think if only we could all make it a habit to track that, I think it should solve a lot of that problem. But Aruna, before we move on, because I have 100 questions for you, but I want to just go back to the time you got a surgery. Walk me through the process. How did you decide that you should get it? You should get it done, cancerous.
Yeah.
Just walk me through the process technically, if you can.
So most doctors at that stage also were not ready to operate on me. They said, I'm very young. I'm not married. I don't have kids. They don't want to take the risk of removing one of the ovaries in my body. Okay. Because what if tomorrow, my in-laws want kids and etc. right? I think like most women who are at least like
most women will not do it themselves only.
Yeah. I was exhausted. मेरे को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता इन चीज़ों का. I kept working on finding a doctor who would just agree to do this. Grateful that I found somebody who agreed that the fact that I can decide. I'm 21. I can decide if I don't want one ovary, and I can take that risk, right? Because even if I wanted kids in the future at that stage, there were so many options available. It's not like मेरा ही बच्चा एक ovary से नहीं हो सकता. That was very challenging. I think I was in third year or fourth year of law school at that time. At that stage, like in my head, because I was very clear that this is what I wanted, was a very easy decision for me to get that surgery. Because the trade-off of not getting that was always living in the fear of something happening to me at any point, and I would not have had the resources at that stage to manage myself. So the easiest and the safest thing for me to do for my body was to actually get that part removed.
But who told you that? Because you don't come from a science background, right? If doctors were not agreeing, did you do your own research? I mean, PCOS since 13 is something I've never heard, by the way. So
it's very common actually. You can detect PCOS or hormonal imbalances even before women bleed. At the age of young age of 8 or 9, because it starts to show in.
So
your
I know
body.
40% women have it in the world, but I didn't know that at that age you can. That's a very interesting thing. So. And matlab 13 ki umar mein, how would you have got the ultrasound done? You got it done because you were feeling.
Yeah, I just had so much pain I couldn't move.
Tell me, how did you decide कि मेरे को तो surgery करानी है because doctors weren't agreeing. Then how can you be sure that this is the right thing? So
doctors were not agreeing for the surgery, not because it wasn't needed, but because what if tomorrow future in-laws would want a kid and आपको शादी कराने में problem होगी? That was really the concern, right? The concern wasn't convincing a doctor to operate on me because my problem was very serious. It was to do despite the fact that future में जो होगा तब देखेंगे ना.
That's crazy. So, are you sure the doctors weren't your future in-laws?
I'm so grateful they're not. And my parents were really angry, right? I don't think I've seen my mom angrier than that one day when this one lady doctor and senior doctor said कि ट्यूमर है बाद में निकाल देंगे, बच्चा पहले करवा लो, बाद में निकाल देंगे ये भी. And mom ripped her to shreds कि आपने बात कैसे कर ली ऐसे.
I can't believe this.
And this is the
absolute
reality,
nuts.
right? Like I know this, like I come from privilege. I had, in the sense that, you know, my parents were so alert, and you know, they were my champions, or that we got the best kind of resources. But most women don't even get to that point.
I completely agree.
Frustrating.
No, and why don't you tell us the doctor's name who actually did your surgery?
Absolutely.
We would like
So-
to talk about someone who's done
Yes,
good.
absolutely. So Dr. Archit Pandit,
Super.
he was at Max Shalimar at that time. What a guy! One of my closest friends, even today now.
Oh, super.
Really took me seriously. You know, it was a great change, because this was one doctor, and he's done robotics in oncology, specializing in gynecological oncology. Um, he treated me as an individual outside of my disease. You know, he would remember my name all the time, and he would not refer to me as a patient. And I think, and that wasn't just me, right? Like others who came to him had similar thoughts about the kind of treatment he gave them. And I think, like, just having those champions, you know, who care about you as an individual and don't think of the whatever problem you have as engulfing your entire world, are very, very important, because he understood exactly my reasons for wanting to get it done right then.
Totally. That's why I wanted to take his name, so that go to that Dr. Archit Pandit.
Yes.
Yes. So that is so good to hear that you got it done, and now here you
Here
are,
we are.
actually making it the aim of your life to make hormonal health better
I
for
swear,
women in the
yeah.
world. So the app and the business is going to be there across the world, or is it just an Indian setup right now?
So right now we launch in India next month. In fact, our waitlist is open. Please go sign up for the waitlist.
Yeah.
But in the long run, the idea is to provide it globally, because our bodies work the same way, right? You can add food libraries, you can add that kind of cultural context, and we're building it in by default, because we understand how important that is.
Yeah.
But it's not something that's so far removed, right? Within that bio-individuality, there are still certain ground rules of how a woman's body works.
I think, you know, when you build products like these, it comes with so much responsibility.
It does.
And so much power, but a lot of responsibility, right? And it has to come from a personal space to do it
Absolutely.
than a completely professional one, I think. So kudos to what you're building. Actually, I would now just make it nostalgic and talk about your life a little, right? So I heard you saying the word privilege at some point earlier, right? So tell me about it. What does privilege mean to you? Why do you think you're privileged?
I think I've just had the opportunity to access resources, right? I think, like, a lot of people think just having money is not privilege enough, because what if you're not allowed to spend it, right? But with somebody who has lesser money but has access to resources, maybe the best kind of education possible in that, you know, access to the internet, for example, parents not limiting you to stay inside the house because you're a girl, or, you know, you should study only a certain amount. So I think that comes with a lot of privilege. And it doesn't matter, like, what your bank balance at that stage says, right? Because at least you can navigate the world with confidence, which is not possible just if you have money. So, you know, my mom, I remember when I was in 10th grade, my mom was doing her course in diamond grading, and we, like, when I was writing my boards, she was also writing her exams. And I think that comes with such incredible privilege, right? To have women in your family continue to study after they've had kids, continue to work that way. My grandmother's been, she's a double gold medalist. She used to I remember she used to teach me. My grandfather retired from AIMS. So in that sense, I come from a very educated family, or and even in, you know, certain cases where folks didn't pursue education, they came with a bias for knowledge. And I think that really changed the game for us throughout and even today.
No, totally. I think, when you think about women, right, or actually anyone in the world, how they are brought up, what's their background, what are the kind of parents they have, matters so much in their upbringing and what they're doing today. And that is why, so I want to double down on, so you think that the background you're coming from, where your family is educated, there's so much knowledge, helped you in making the kind of decisions you have today? And if it did, was there ever a push from your mom or your father? Yeah, Aruna, think like that. Law karna hai to kar le. What was that? What was the what was the environment like in the house? Sometimes like people can come from very privileged backgrounds, but also have like those कि तू डॉक्टर ही बनेगा because it's a doctor family, right? So yeah, tell me.
So idea was definitely कि law करना है और मेरा भी मन था, and I mean I actually don't know if it was environment or essence, because 6th grade I decided I wanted to do law, and I wanted to read law. And my parents were very supportive and continued to push me. I don't think like a child at in grade 6 knows what they want to do. It's always a matter of the environment that they're a part of. So I went on to read law, didn't enjoy it. Also because there were so many aggravating circumstances during that time. What was very good was that my parents told me, finish your degree and figure it out. हमने भी ना, तुम लोग पैदा हो गए तो उसके बाद हमने भी पढ़ाई करी, अपनी भी लाइन्स चेंज करी है, तो कोई आफत नहीं आ गई. अगर पढ़ लिया तो पढ़ाई वेस्ट तो जाएगी नहीं, और ऐसा भी नहीं कि अभी डिसाइड कर लिया तो पूरी जिंदगी वही करना है. हम लोगों ने भी तो चेंज किया ही है ना. एंड सीइंग, ग्रोइंग अप, सीइंग माय मम study because she wanted to study something new, and then change her career path, or my dad deciding he wanted to be a house husband because of his health condition, my mom running the house for the longest time, or my grandma really prioritizing education over everything else. Like I remember, from whatever I remember as a child, was that there would be no concept of watching TV at home at all, because my grandma loved reading, and our time together would be, अच्छा अब ये पढ़ लेते हैं, अब ये पढ़ लेते हैं, न्यूज़ पढ़ ली, शैम्पू की बोतल पढ़ ली, वो नहीं, वो आदत बन जाती है फिर घर में, जहाँ को एनवायरनमेंट वही मिलता है,
हर जगह पढ़ ही रहे हो,
हर जगह पढ़ रहे हो. तो there was nothing limiting us, and they said we'll figure it out. मतलब वो जो कॉन्सेप्ट है ना कि we'll figure it out, that makes you feel you're not alone. आपके साथ प्रॉब्लम हो रही है, बाकी सब तो है ना आपको सपोर्ट करने के लिए. और आई थिंक उससे बड़ी प्रिविलेज ना नहीं है.
That is such a good point. I remember, in I think 2017, I had absolutely no idea where to go, what to do in life, and that is the time I had met my mentor, and I would love to kind of talk more about mentorship here. Just the fact that once or twice he said to me that I will ask him a question, and he will say कि कर लेंगे हम. He always used to say हम कर लेंगे या फिगर कर लेंगे. He never used to say कि तुम कर लोगी. Although there was no advisory equity, there was no, he was just doing me a favor per se at that point, because we had just met and he had decided कि he'll mentor me, right? It had nothing else, right? With him saying that used to make me feel कि अच्छा I'm sorted. So we'll figure it out. Let's make it a thing.
Absolutely.
I mean, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, it's a solvable problem.
Yeah, like really. I mean, I think if people can just say it more often, I think so many more people will get encouraged. But coming back to your point about, क्या तेरे तो सारे outliers लग रहे हैं मुझे.
हाँ है.
Your grandmother reading everything, your father leaving his job, or being a house husband, as you said it. These are alien concepts,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
At what age was he house husband, if I may?
He has a neurological problem, and he was diagnosed when I think he was 27 or 28.
Okay.
So he continued working. My mom was always working, and they worked together, so they were very supportive. And I think 2013, when I was going to law school, he decided to join me in Bangalore so I don't have to stay alone. And my mom was here. That's the time when he decided, I have two girls. Neither of them have any plans of inheriting the business that I run. It makes no sense that I spent so many years logging off. I'd rather just support them and my wife in the work that they're doing. It's not like we're wanting for anything. So let me just make this decision. And it was an extremely hard decision to take, can I tell you? Because it sounds great when I'm saying it as a third person, but for a man in today's world also, and like, in a very
in any world.
Yeah, in a very typical North Indian family where the man's supposed to be the breadwinner, etc., etc., for him to, come to terms with the fact that he needs to make decisions that are different from everybody around him would have come with a lot of baggage. And I know he went through a lot of shit for that internally, like in his mind, but he did it. right? And his simple idea was, my family is important for me. I care about what people say. So, he's not the kind who will say, कि मेरे को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. He cares a lot about what people say and it matters to him. He said, even in the grand scheme of things, this is still more important.
Yeah. Did anyone in your family, your neighbors, anyone you remember talked about it? Did you I'm sure people did.
Yeah.
Did it ever reach him? Anything like that? I would love to know, because लोग क्या कहेंगे is something
लोग क्या
that we-
कहेंगे is always been there. Reach के अपने घर वाले, मतलब अपनी extended family बोल देती है ना, इतना क्या पढ़ाने की जरूरत है, यहीं दिल्ली में रह के कर ले. They said हमें वहीं भेजना है. And it's not even like, the college I went who is number one or whatever, right? It was that we want our kids to get out of Delhi because we don't want them to grow up in the kind of family backgrounds or this kind of thought process. They need to step out. They need to learn how to live with the world. And that will only come when they move out of their comfort zone. It's fine, right? Like if you're going to this college, at least you're in a big city, you'll learn that lifestyle. And I think going to Bangalore changed me not because of law school per se, but just the environment I got in that city, right? The kind of people I met there outside of college as well, or just the kind of standard of living I saw there, the kind of thought processes I saw there. Their priorities were very different. Their weekends look very different from what business class family weekends in Delhi look like. And I think that really encouraged me to start exploring a world that I'd never seen when I was growing up. And I think that was great.
Yeah, but when you say the thought process, that I'm sorry, I'm going to get into all of these details. But tell me, the thought process that your parents said, right? कि Delhi का thought process is different from Bangalore का thought process. Or maybe they just want a change. What is that thought process?
मतलब I think वो किसी भी सिटी में रहते हैं ना, उनको लगता है कि वहाँ से निकल के कहीं और जाओ. क्योंकि मेरी मॉम का आइडिया था कि जो करना है ना अभी कर लो. ये जो पूरा कॉन्सेप्ट है ना कि शादी के बाद ये सब करेंगे, कुछ नहीं होने वाला. जब पहले से आपकी लाइफ में वो चीजें होंगी ना, then that becomes the norm for you. And when you keep things for after wedding or अपने पति के साथ करना, all of that, it's never going to happen because they'll not accept it, right? And if you've not grown up with it, you'll never be comfortable with it. So go and explore, and feel free to come back. No, then decide your life wherever it takes you. And I think it was just the idea of keep moving out of your comfort zone. And I think that comes from the fact that my parents love learning new things. They always want to keep challenging themselves. They're not the kinds who travel. They have no interest in traveling. Theirs is very simple. Ghar, Mandir, Kaam, Ghar, Mandir, Kaam. Like that's literally our life, right? We've never traveled together. And if we have, it's been Haridwar, Vrindavan, Rishikesh.
Oh, best.
But their idea is always, they love reading. Like my mom loves reading. My dad's extremely interested in politics and this and that, right? Very much a people's person that way. And I think that kind of just growing up with that thought process comes very naturally to me. So it's not something that I've had to put in effort with. That's just what I've grown up with. So that's my comfort zone.
You said Ghar, Mandir and
Kaam.
Kaam. Ghar, Mandir and Kaam. Okay, so let's get to Mandir. What are your thoughts on that?
So, my first tattoo was an anchor with Krishna.
Ooh.
Because for me, my faith is what keeps me grounded. And it's a very, very personal thing. It's not something that was ever forced on us. We were always allowed to find our own way through this. I find a lot of comfort and peace of mind in the faith I pursue. And it's simply that, for me, because I grew up in a Hindu family, I find it comfortable to think of my faith in those terms.
Yeah.
But in essence, I really value spirituality. I really value traditions. In that sense, I just find it grounds me. It makes me feel like, I'm just a speck. And I have this limited time here. So, with all of that in mind, I don't think that I think because of just that kind of outlook, failures don't get to me as easily. Because my identity is not tied to anything I'm doing or anybody I'm with.
Wow.
Right? And I think that's been instrumental in all of this for me.
No, that is so interesting because, at some point we started finding it uncool to be close to spirituality, believe in God, etc., right? But I think that that's what Secret to Success tells you. Those books are actually about ki yaar, it's nice to believe in something, because then you can kind of live a happier life.
Absolutely.
Right. And so it's very interesting that you said that you're actually just a really tiny speck in this whole world of things, and it's so important to think like that as a founder. I want to actually know from you. Obviously, you've said it multiple times, so we'll get to it. So there's a family business, right? Your father is not doing it, but your mom is doing it.
Yeah.
So does your sister. Your sister
Yes.
also runs a business.
Yeah.
So does anyone else, or are they the? So tell me about their businesses, and tell me why you did, because now you're also doing it. So why not together, and why
Yeah.
away from it?
So I'm not doing a business today because I wanted to be a startup founder. I wanted to run a business. It was just the best way to pursue the passion I have for women's health.
Yeah.
And being a startup founder, or frankly, like getting invested, don't tell my investors that, is not exciting for me at all. Like, it doesn't make any difference to me, right?
Yeah.
Even in terms of success, I don't think it defines success for me at all. In the case of my mom, like, she had a catering business because she used to love cooking, and that's what she started with when we were very young. And then she got bored of that, so she started she started studying jewelry designing and diamond grading and gemology, and had that business for a couple of years. And then she got bored of all the bling bling, and she realized she loves decorating, and she's very artistic in nature in general, and she loves gardening and plants. So she started a landscape designing business, and now she grows her own plants and designs them, and that's the space she's in. My sister joined her and started her own thing in real estate, construction, etc. I actually worked with my mom for through these years through college, but and school. But my focus was always looking after the accounts, looking after the paperwork, all of that. Because by nature, I don't think I'm very artistic in that sense. I love beautiful things, but I can do it for myself. I don't think I can do it for others. It wasn't very exciting for me there. What was exciting was just getting to spend time with them. But I really like the work I do, right? Like, health is important for me. I really like people, which is why I went on to study consumer psychology after wrapping up law school. So for me, I think it's always been that curiouser from Alice in Wonderland really defines me that way. And it's just pursuing my curiosities that I've focused on. I can anytime go back to the family business, right? I can always join them. It's just not something that excites me. And when I have the opportunity, it just made sense for me to explore that as well. It was really just, that was not
that makes sense, right? That's what we keep talking about here. What can you wake up for every morning and give 18 hours?
Yeah, that's true.
Or maybe lesser hours, whatever hours you want. But that's what I mean. Majority of your time you can give to an idea that you love. You can't give to an idea because I want to be an entrepreneur, so abhi main koi business utalungi and then. But knowing you and your background, and of course I spoke with the better half.
I'm the better half.
Both of you are better halves. They're halves, yeah. But okay, so you've always been into entrepreneurship. Now, first tell me about your how did you learn consumer psychology? What interested you, and then we'll get to your businesses.
I really enjoy shopping. I was getting out of hand. It was literally a shopping addiction that was getting out of hand. I wouldn't be able to save up money by the end of the month, right? Salary would come and paise gaye और इतना खरीद लिया समझ नहीं आया. तो ऐसी मस्ती में over weekends, just look at you keep googling and you're finding these things. Sometime I was pumped on, the concept of consumer psychology and, how marketing is used to manipulate buyers. And that led me to an online diploma course, which I did for fun. I won a scholarship. I wrote them an email that this is very expensive. I'm from India. I'm very young. I can't afford this. Can you give me a scholarship? We'll figure out how to make it work. And they gave it me. So I was only supposed to write some 12 articles for them as an experience of me doing the course and push it out on my LinkedIn. I did that, and they gave me the certificate and everything. What that also led to was not just that, I think I barely shop now, by the way. So it's really worked, right? Just that pursuing that. I'll maybe I shop only for essentials now. Very methodical about my shopping there. I love fashion, but regardless, I'm not a shopaholic anymore.
Yeah.
But posting on LinkedIn led me to this opportunity in the United States where the founder of this marketing company saw my work and said, listen, really like the work you do, really like the way you write and express yourself. We are a 3-member team. Would love to have you if you want to be the 4th member. And our work is in the space of behavior psychology, and we're a marketing company working with D2C brands. I had zero idea about marketing at that time because I was working at as a consultant at UNESCO as an art lawyer and a art and fashion lawyer at that stage.
Wow.
So this was way removed. I didn't even know कि इसमें कोई career possible है, कोई idea ही नहीं था. I said yes, why not? This was the COVID time. So let's do it.
Let's do
अपना
10
क्या जा रहा है?
things.
अपना क्या जा रहा है? Free है वैसे भी.
Yeah.
That was insane, right? Like out of some 50 companies who are our clients at that stage, 11 of these were femtech and health tech brands. So I actually got behind the scenes into health tech right there and at a global scale, right?
Wow.
Everything from marketing strategy, product strategy, speaking with founders, understanding. All of these were bootstrap businesses. None of them were VC-backed businesses, but they were all doing like business at turnovers of $2 million a year, $3 million a year. Bootstrap businesses, D2C, selling 1 or 2 key products that are either patented or FDA approved, etc. Not to see that kind of work people do from their backyards, right? That's really what happened for me, essentially. Like, it was just, like, if you look at it, it was just because I wanted to shop less and save more.
That's the thing about just do it, right? Hashtag just do it and you land maybe earn a lot of money in the process. For how long did this job last?
I started working part-time in August 2020, full-time December 2020, and quit in April 2022 last year when I was going for Antler for my residency for salad.
Wow. So you've always been working on multiple things. If I had to assume that, since the time you were what age? When was your first, earned or paid job?
I think like 8th grade, 9th grade. My mom would give me salary, right, for managing paperwork and accounts and making sure the math is right. So salary on that.
Wow. Because I keep thinking about a playbook. For anyone who is destined to kind of become successful, because that's what you've been doing. Like you've literally been working every day towards this one point, which kind of compounds together, right? So you actually got paid for the first time for real work in 8th or 9th grade. Then you also started a cafe.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. How old were you and why the hell did you do
again,
that?
I think like I'm just like, it was, like this surgery time was a change in my life where from a very like reserved person, I became open to the world, right? And I just started saying yes to opportunities. I would not wait for, something to happen. I would just go out and like, ये करना है और नहीं भी करना तो ये interesting है. I was doing a lot of work in art and fashion law in final year of law school because traditional legal work wouldn't make sense for me, like just in terms of the lifestyle. So I had to figure something else out. उस time ये नहीं सोचा था कि law करूँगी ही नहीं. Let me pick up something that's very interesting, very very new at that time. India में तो there was nobody doing it. And I was simply talking a lot more about it on my LinkedIn, connecting with people. This was during college. And that led to a scholarship opportunity with UNESCO Chair of Cultural Policy, where they roped me in as one of the art lawyers in the program. So I was supposed to go to Germany for that, and that started my work. That was literally my first job out of college.
Yeah.
And this friend of mine, very much older, family friend of ours, he had this store in Gurgaon, which was very artistically done, and he's always been very fond of art as well. So we would keep chatting about it. He's been like that one of those older mentor friends that you have that way. And he said, listen, we have this space. I know you don't need it for work, but you want to do something for it, because the only other thing is that I let this go. And they said, yeah, why not? कुछ exhibitions कर लेते हैं, अच्छी जगह है, आप feature भी हो आपका artwork. I said, okay, great. Coffee भी डाल देते हैं, क्योंकि मजे आते हैं ना, इससे बैठ के खाना पीना तो करेंगे. So we found this sommelier, a coffee sommelier, who created a menu for us, and we had more than 1,000 coffees on our menu because just the way it would be done. You know, like how it's very common now to see French press and AeroPress and pour over and
What
this
year
and that.
was this again?
This was 2018.
Okay.
So at that time there was nothing like that. By the way. We launched in May, I think 2018. I'd just come back from college, and I didn't go for my graduation because I didn't go for my convocation ceremony at all because I was at work at that time. थोड़ा हो गया पढ़ाई खत्म, डिग्री तो आनी आ जाएगी, अपने आप क्या जाना, काम कर लेते हैं. And it was very cool because people really liked the concept. It was featured on LBB back then, right? There was a lot of organic coverage, and you would have waiting and reservation and this and that. Now this became a full-on hospitality business. That's not my jam, alright? Like, and that was not what I thought of also. And it was very, very far. It was in Gurgaon, like the Good Earth City Center. So it was nuts, honestly, the way it blew up. I was not the right person to sustain it, frankly. You know, as people, we should also know where our strengths and capabilities lie, and also where we want to build them. So it's not like if you don't have certain strengths, you can't build them. But those were just not the kind of strengths that I was interested in building. And then this, the partner of mine, he couldn't have run this full time either. So we decided, okay, great experiment. Can't sustain this for longer because I have more important commitments. Right?
You had it in your mind कि यार ये सालों तक तो आएगा.
No, not my thing at all. But it was just something I would dread going. I would wake up with that traffic में जाओ, not my thing. Like I would not enjoy the process or the day-to-day of that work at all. And it wasn't even supposed to be my full-time thing, right? Like it just happened. And I think it was also like now that I know these startup terms, it was very early for the market at that stage.
Correct.
It's only like 20, like around that
Did
time.
Did Bluetokai etc. exist
they
then?
Just like
उसी time start
उसी time वो
Chayos भी तो उसी time आया था.
Yeah, Chayos was right next to us at that stage. And honestly, मतलब अगर उससे पहले हो भी तो मेरे को knowledge नहीं थी उसकी because I love food, I love great coffees, I love great teas, but I had never looked at the hospitality business at that stage, right? So we started it, and this is something I learned eventually, just the importance of I'm a very action-oriented person कि जो काम करना है करके खत्म करो, but also the importance of taking a step back and looking at the grand scheme of things and seeing how things fit in. Doing your research, right? And you can never do 100% research before you jump in and actually do the work, but at least having enough to know what next day can look like, right?
यार I want to get to salad condoms quickly, okay? I want to know एक तो कितना time तुमने ये cafe किया? I find your career extremely enlightening, if I could use that word, because it's amazing, yaar. It's exciting. Like 2016 to तुम सोचो अब 2023 हो गया है तो 7 years you've changed your life multiple times. So cafe, how long, and then how did you jump to salad?
Cafe was honestly 3 or 4 months. The thing is, it just went so viral that people still remember it because it was just such a cool concept and just the way it was done, right? Like the whole experience of it together was just so unique and the first of its kind, right? In the city. I don't know about other cities. I've never visited other places at that stage. So, like, can you imagine starting a restaurant or a cafe without knowing anything else about what exists in the market at that stage? But simply because हमें आर्ट पसंद है, चलो आर्ट एग्जीबिशंस कर लेते हैं, आर्ट लॉयर है, नेटवर्क है, पूरा कर लेते हैं. But it went really well, but not our thing again, right? And I was anyway leaving for Germany in September at that stage. For my UN work. So for the next couple of years, I was working as an art and fashion lawyer at UNESCO, Chair of Cultural Policy. With British Council, did a lot of events here, taught a lot of artists, had my independent clients. India Art Fair के साथ एक book release हुई थी Jan 2020 में that I'd written on art law for creative professionals in India. So all legal basics, business basics if you want to pursue a creative career in the country and how to protect your work essentially. And then the pandemic hit at that time. Some of my UN gigs, 3 of them that were back to back over a period of 2 months in May and June got cancelled. So I wasn't traveling anymore for that anyway. And that's the time I was doing this consumer psychology course. So, and this was the pandemic, right? कुछ करने को ही नहीं था तो पढ़ाई कर लो. मतलब मेरा तो ये होता है कोई फ्री है बुक पढ़ लो, फ्री है कुछ नया सीख लो, कि वो वाला सेम. Then continued to do this, but it was also very interesting for me how health tech and femtech, especially at that stage, was working out, and I could see a lot of parallels and my interest developing a lot because of the clients we were working with at that stage, right? And none of our clients were in India. So I started a condom brand to test out the market and really to see, how this works. I did my interviews, I spoke to some 250 people and I did very deep consumer research because that was my forte by then, and launched this as a Shopify website. And in the first 2 months, simply through organic PR and word of mouth, we sold some 20,000 boxes of condoms. Can you believe it?
How?
People
really... Because condoms sell a lot, but other than that...
No, actually, the thing is condoms don't sell a lot in a country like ours. We have one of the lowest condom usage in the country.
Correct.
Because of, our cultural stigma. Correct. What was very unique about Salad Condoms was it was the first of its kind brand that focused on health over pleasure. So that made a lot of change, which is why the name Salad came up, right? We didn't use sex to sell at all. And this again came from a lot of research where, in the last couple of decades, especially before I was born or during the time I was growing up, sex was used to sell most things, including, a mango juice. But in the last couple of years, with the advent of the internet, consumers have become much more smarter. There are so many options, and we prefer science over sex, right? So even for something as simple as condoms, which is in essence a very sex-related product, the fact that, we were transparent about our ingredients or the process of making a condom was mind-blowing for people. We had never thought about what our condoms are made of. And just with the idea of try to karke dekhe, it's just such a cool product. And, we were made for women. What was great was that because we weren't using any artificial flavors or fragrances, there were no allergies or rashes. And that was, again, unique, right? Because women said, at least the users that we had who'd come back say, I want to have sex, right? But nobody's really paid attention to what my problems are. And this is great. That happened. And that's how it really started for me. And in some ways, the opportunity to do something at scale hit me at that time. I wouldn't say the entrepreneurship bug in the sense of starting my own business or becoming a founder, but really to solve problems at scale started for me at that stage. I think that really hit me, that if you're actually paying attention to your users, you can truly solve their problems. And that kept going on. From a business perspective, retention was a huge challenge over the next couple of months, right? This is a business that needs very deep distribution. Margins are very low because this is an essential medical commodity. Also, just an upcoming space, so people could potentially buy a product like this or other products in the same category to try them out, but repeat customers is very challenging. And in given today's environment with D2C e-commerce, this is a huge challenge for businesses to solve because CACs are very high, and if LTV is low, then it doesn't make sense, right? So went back to the drawing board. I still had my job, by the way, at this
consumer
time.
research.
So it's not like I was taking a big risk at that stage. I hadn't quit my job until, I was sure I could sustain myself for the next couple of years if I was to give my all to entrepreneurship that way. But research was always very exciting for me. So through that period, till late 2022, till last year, spoke to more than 1,000 women across India, tier 1, tier 2, just to figure their lives out. And just to figure out, what they think of healthcare, how they're accessing it. And my personal journey started to inspire me a lot. And it started to make me feel that, I wasn't the only one who went through this shit. At that stage, I hadn't realized it. At that stage, it was very selfish of me, to say, okay, I'm studying nutrition because I want to look after my health or I need a healthy lifestyle for myself. It's only over the course of this research that I realized there is so much that needs to be done for women's health. It's impossible for one person to do it alone. And we have this amazing opportunity with technology to solve problems like these at scale. So why not, right? It was a matter of really why not. So this happened. December 21, I was introduced to the concept of venture capital. I had zero idea before that what startups meant. April 22, I quit my job because I get selected for Antler's residency. Antler is a VC firm that's now.
And this was with the salad condoms only.
Salad condoms was not a business. It was active, but it wasn't working out well. So I was very clear that this is
You
not
were
something
already
you
pivoting.
invest in. I'm exploring pivot. I'm exploring the opportunity to pivot or start something completely different
Got it.
in the space of women's health for women. But let's explore what happens.
Got it.
So April 22, I quit my job at that stage, knowing that I have 1 year's worth of emergency savings in hand, so I can easily get back if should it not work. And I think that's very important, frankly, like especially as women founders, we need to have financial savings. A mentor of mine, was very clear early on. They said that, risks look very different for you as a female founder versus, a male founder. Ensure that you don't have to ask for money as much as possible. Of course, your family will help you, but given that you want to be independent and you want to also provide for your family, ensure that you have a net in your bank, because you're only 26, 27. Now I'm 28, right? You have a lot of time to get into entrepreneurship, but don't force yourself to lead a bad life or lead an uncomfortable life because of that. So I kept that in mind there. So at the residency, it was a 3-month long residency. I met my wonderful co-founder, and we started to work on this together. Pitched sometime September, December we got our funding. So it's really come full circle for me that way, unexpectedly, right? It's not like I started with the idea back in 2016 that I wanted to be a founder or I wanted to work in women's health because I went through this and it's my personal journey that's inspired me to do this. It's really just pursuing my curiosity and really not saying no. I think that just keeping my mind open to whatever's happening around me really helped me come to this point unexpectedly. It's not like I planned it, but looking back, the dots connect.
Yeah, looking back, you probably think that everything I've done in my life has led me to
this
very
really
point.
Has. No, Can you imagine running I'm now building a consumer tech company where we focus on building behavior change and habits, which is something I studied for myself. Where we focus on women's health, which is something I did for myself at that stage, which we wanted to do at scale, which is something that inspired me. And my co-founder came in with the same aspirations, right? Even though she didn't know about hormonal health or women's health at that stage, just learning about it for her own self in those couple of months that we spent together, and her 8 years of experience in consumer tech, in leading startups across the world, really sealed the deal for us, where we brought our unique skills and experiences and education together to build something like this that should potentially be revolutionary for women all across.
I want to double click on two things, right? One, you talked about very different risks you can take as a female founder, very different risks you can take as a male founder, right? Tell me what that means. And second, would love to understand how you went, because taking a risk with a bad co-founder than not having a co-founder, I would always go with a no co-founder, right? Bad. So someone new. How do you kind of deal with that kind of decision, right? So yes, let's talk about the male founder versus taboo topic for the world, but let's talk about it.
So this is a very recent experience, right? As a startup founder, we're at pre-seed right now. We're launching our product next month. I work 10-12 hours a day right now because I've deprioritized everything else around me, most other things around me, except for my health and my family. My work takes center stage at this stage. Couple of months ago, we were in these founder sessions, and one unicorn founder said that, I ensure that I give 1 day a month to my family without any, distractions. Rest of the time I'm busy working, so I don't get to spend that much time. My partner looks after the kids and the... अगर मैंने कभी ये बोल दिया ना मेरा डिवोर्स हो जाएगा कि मैं महीने में 1 दिन अपने घर को दे रही हूँ, मेरे बच्चे जो होंगे ना मुझे भूल जाएंगे, क्योंकि women are just not allowed to do that, right? We still have to balance our homes, and if you're married then your families as well. Yeah. That responsibility is never going to go away, right? And just to think of doing late night parties as founders, you'll have these venture capital events, etc. I can't go for all of these because I just don't have the time. When will I look after myself? When will I look after home? And even if I have a very supportive partner, which I touch wood too,
Yeah.
I have very supportive parents on both sides. There's still some responsibilities I have that's very different for a male co-founder, right? I had to think of maternity leave. If they choose not to take paternity leave, nobody's going to say anything to them. Unfortunately, we will praise men, in today's India who take paternity leave, but it's still not the norm, right? I will still have to give up on my career for at least those months or balance it differently. Or the fact that, I've had to deprioritize my friendships because I just don't have the time for it anymore. I can't go out drinking because if I do that, I'm not waking up on time the next day and my health is suffering, etc., etc. The world looks very different for me as a female co-founder, right?
Yeah.
And this is not even getting into the shit you face with vendors for being a female, or like, with salad condoms, the kind of sexism I had to go through with customers calling at random times in the
Yeah,
night.
I wanted to actually know about that. I mean, you launched a condom business and you gave, because I know, because I've seen it, you've given your number on it. How does that work, Aruna? And tell me something about that.
So-
and would it have been the same case if it was a male founder running a condom business?
So, one thing that I had already done was not have any of my pictures online at that stage when we launched it, because you grow up in this world, right? You know the kind of shit that can happen to you, so you take precautions in advance. And I was very active on Clubhouse though, and there were a lot of podcasts that were launched, and one common thread amongst all of them is that this is a female founder who's launched a brand of condoms, right? That led to a lot of interest कि एक औरत कैसे कॉन्डम ब्रांड चला रही है और आपके पति ने कुछ नहीं बोला और ये कुछ नहीं हुआ, etc. So I, like, after a point of time, I just really got fed up of answering these calls, because in my head these could be work calls.
They
These could
called
be
you
for
and asked you
distribution.
these things. कि आप
Yeah.
condom business क्यों चला रहे हो?
I mean, that was a journalistic question, तो एक वो
हाँ,
template बन गई थी कि ये तो
correct,
पूछना ही पूछना है. But even customers, who would call for orders would start to end up misbehaving, or call at random times, right? And this was my work number, so I'd already done that. And then I gave my partner, like my husband, to speak about speak to these people, and then they would stop calling, right? But until the time it was me, they would keep calling, and you keep going through it, right? But it's very scary as a woman to go through it, because it makes you feel so unsafe.
Yeah.
And thank God I didn't have pictures online, right? But otherwise I'm recognizable on the streets as well, especially for somebody following you so deeply, right? And I think those are major challenges that male founders don't have to go through.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, the fact that a male founder running such a business won't have to think कि मेरे pictures online ना रहें. Yeah, the fact that if you were a single woman who didn't have a partner, it would have been more difficult for you, right?
Absolutely.
And that's something I want to understand from you, right? Does it help to have a supportive partner in life who's through and through around your entrepreneurial journey? Because I always think that, for women especially, actually for anyone, but for women especially, having a partner who's supportive is a career decision. Or having a partner is a career decision. Forget everything else, right?
Yeah.
So tell me a little about Rahul, who's someone who's you're going to marry in a couple of months.
So I think, like you very rightly said, I think it's the biggest decision of your life. Whether you choose to stay single or you choose to get married, and who you choose to get married to. Because let's say in the last 6 years, I've already done 4 businesses or like different jobs, right? The partner has been the same. And hopefully this will continue for the next 50 years, but the businesses might change, right? And sometimes I might just decide not to work. But I think, like, you're born to your parents, and you're very lucky if they love you and they support you unconditionally. Your children are born to you, and you're very lucky if they support you unconditionally, because they didn't ask to be here. But your partner is the only person in your entire life who's actively choosing to be with you. And, in business sense, that could also be your co-founder. And I think just getting that right is incredibly hard. And it needs you to really know yourself and know what you prioritize and what you value. Because shit will always hit the fan, right? I think, like, it's not like we have the smoothest relationship.
Yeah.
We have our fights, we have our discomforts, we have our demons to deal with. But just knowing that I have this person in my corner who's there for me thick and thin is really what keeps me going, because I'm not worried about what happens if things go wrong. We'll figure it, and that's the same idea. We'll figure it out.
I think every time you say it, I'm just going to take that baler and raise my hand or take a shot. Don't have shots here, so. But no, that is so true, right?
Yeah.
So, if you had to actually say just one thing about how you pick a partner who actually, elevates your life in certain way, what would be your advice to?
I think you pick yourself, and the right people start coming around, because like I don't think that I've picked one right person in that sense. My partner is great, but so are his parents.
Yeah.
So are my friends.
Yeah.
So are like work colleagues I meet who become friends.
Yeah.
So is my co-founder, right?
Yeah.
And I think if you're clear on who you are and what you're comfortable with, what you're not comfortable with, what your boundaries are, that's the kind of people who stay on as well, right? So it's not like one person's that decision's been right. It's all throughout, right? You build out that table with everybody. Yeah. So I think when you start prioritizing yourself that way and are absolutely clear on what you can give in any relationship and what you can't, it makes a lot of difference, because that clarity helps. It's helpful for you, it's helpful for the others.
No, that makes so much sense. Yeah, I mean, I think when you're actually looking for partners to feel fulfilled, that's the worst decision. Same thing like when you start up just to feel successful, that's worst decision of your life. But that makes sense. Yeah. So let's talk about your co-founder. How did you guys decide you can do this? Because it's a 10-year long relationship. It's better than marriage, or bigger than marriage. Maybe not better than marriage. Sorry, Rahul. No offense, but it's bigger than marriage. I feel, at least. And so tell me about your co-founder. What's her background? How did you decide she's the one?
Karishma and I met at Antler, and both of us came there to explore opportunities. Both come from, in that sense, very successful career paths. And I think I say successful because in day to day you'll see failures, but in the large scheme of things, the graph's only going up. She wanted to do things at scale. She wanted to do things that are meaningful and impactful. And amongst everybody else, it just made sense for us, right? In that sense, like our ideas matched, our value systems matched. And I think respect is critical, and when your value systems match, that comes in. Love can be built over time, right? Like even in marriages, it can come and it can go, but if there's respect and deep friendship and shared vision for what you build towards, that's critical. And I think it's insane because she's one of the smartest people I've met.
Oh wow!
I'm always inspired by the quality of work she does, her work ethic, the way she thinks. I don't want to be the smartest person in my team, right? It was very clear from day one. Karishma's way smarter than I am. My team's way smarter than I am, and I think that's what really keeps me going, because you're always learning. Then you're always on your toes. If you're the smartest person, then you're just pulling other people up. Frankly,
takes a hell lot to say that, dude. Love it. Please continue. I just wanted to give you a high five.
Yeah, and I think like that's just very exciting, and for both of us, the kind of work we are doing is not pure play entrepreneurship or like startup founder life. We would do this even if we were bootstrapped. Venture capital means nothing to us. Frankly, it's more of a means to survival and a means to the ends that we want to have. It's not the end in itself. That clarity and that shared vision is critical for us to get right, and I think we did that early on. So again, like any relationship, and we've only known each other for a couple of months, right? We also go through our ups and downs, and we come back with it. We work through those issues. But just having shared values and shared direction towards the same goalpost is critical in getting it right. I don't think like any person in that sense is the only right person for you. It's more of hypotheticals. Iske saath kaam kar liya, uske saath kaam kar leti, ye better hota, wo better. You pick a person and you stick with them, really.
Yeah. What are the roles right now? What do you do and what does Karishma do in the company?
So I look after growth. I have domain expertise in health and behavior sciences, and I look after everything: compliance, legal, marketing, legal, accounts, all of that. Karishma looks after product and engineering.
I actually wanted to go back to your consumer research.
Yeah.
Where you were saying कि यार पहले ना sex used to work.
Yeah.
और मुझे याद आ रहा है कि यार बहुत पहले बहुत सालों पहले, women like, how do you pronounce her name? Meghan Markle had to write to the advertisers कि यार make a gender neutral ad, right? Women are not the only ones who wash dishes at home. Those ads used to actually work, and I think that kind of content has conditioned people in the society to believe that. So tell me a little about that. Did you read something about this, about how the behavior has changed, about what kind of ads work, and actually how it impacts how people think?
I think this is, by the way, established research that the environment that you surround yourself in shapes the way you think. So the kind of movies you watch shapes the way you think. Recently the Class launched on Netflix, right? And there's a huge divide on ऐसे थोड़ी ना होता है in tier 1 schools में, and most people are, and like not most but like others are saying this is all we've seen, and then there are certain folks from tier 2 cities, who are sharing their thoughts online and saying we don't know about tier 1 but this is what happens here. So I think it's more of what you're surrounding yourself with that's shaping you, which is why it's very, very important to be so conscious about the content we consume, right? Especially with the advent of, say, things like TikTok, Instagram, where content is aplenty, and products like TikTok work on interest graphs, right? It doesn't matter where you are in society, it matters what you're interested in, and the algorithm continues to show you things that legitimize those experiences or those opinions and continue for you to stay in a bubble, which is why bias is so easy to build in. And these things condition us, right? They condition the way we think, they condition the way we talk to others. So maybe if we had a culture of watching TV at home growing up or watching a lot of movies, I might have been a very different person. But just the fact that nobody forced me to read, but everybody around me was reading all the time or studying, just made that my lifestyle as well. And I think like these things are very important because we are billions of people in the world today, right? We can't obviously solve for everybody's mindset. What we can do is solve for our own, in that sense. And this is established research again, right? That when you play violent video games, it leads to a tendency to violence. If you watch news all day, it leads to stress because it leads to cortisol rise consistently. You're always on your edge. As a founder, I know I should be, aware and alert. I subscribe to news platforms where I can read news that does not stress me out, and I'm not always on the go that way, right? And this is more of filtering it out for yourself at all stages then.
I have a couple of last questions. Tell me, what does, your future look like? Future for salad look like? And actually, what will be according to you, what is the big vision, big problem it will solve for the world if it is successful, which it will be?
So we launch next month. Our beta launches next month with a select group for our pilot program. Waitlist is open, but we are going to launch it slowly and steadily so we can really provide for the right solutions. But for now, we're only using period data as the biomarker. In the long run, we'll introduce multiple granular level of testing for your hormones and then providing personalized nutrition and personalized fitness. So imagine your nutritionist or your fitness expert on your app without having any need of human intervention. You want to go eat popcorns today because you're going for a movie and it's not part of your diet plan. Totally fine. Just go eat it, put it in the app, and we'll change your next day's breakfast for you. Because your health is not static, right? It's a very dynamic function. If you're on vacation, you can still choose to be healthy without, falling prey to binges or feeling guilty about whatever you're eating. I love eating food. What is a person who loves to eat or loves to try new things got to do if they want to stay healthy? We want to really be that personal companion for women across the world who are leading busy lives, who are juggling multiple lives, whether as founders, as professionals, as mothers, as wives, as daughter-in-laws, as daughters, as whosoever, whatsoever role you play, to be your personal companion and your personal planner in how you look after your health on a day-to-day basis. That's our idea and that's our goal.
That's awesome. Is it a paid app?
For now, it's free for the first 10,000 users.
Just do it.
So if you're watching it, please go sign up and get it on the wait list.
That is super cool. And what is, can you tell me put it in numbers in terms of what does it mean for women if they start using this?
Okay, so first of all, you don't need another nutritionist because it's in one place. You don't need another fitness expert because it's all in one place. The third most important thing is you don't have to navigate them separately. They know what they're doing because the tool's helping you do this. What this also means is that you're preventing worsening of conditions you have because you're looking after your health today. So you don't have to spend excessively in healthcare or sick care later when your condition becomes disordered, but you're looking after at a moderate languishing condition, and you can optimize for your health in the long run. We think that दवाई ले ली और ठीक हो गया. That's not how health works. If you don't look after a problem today, it may not have a consequence right now, but unchecked, it's going to keep worsening. Which is why, things keep worsening. पहले तो ये problem नहीं होती थी, तब भी ये चलता था, अब ज़्यादा problem है. It's simply because it's been left untreated or unchecked, right? And it's simply a function of following a healthy lifestyle on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so this is preventive healthcare.
Absolutely.
more than curing it, which I
absolutely
hate cure. Want prevent. Tell me, what does an ideal world look for a woman if you had to describe it?
The freedom to be respected despite whatever you do or don't do. I don't want to be anything, right? Like my ideal life, like if I see myself 5 or 6 years down the line, मेरे को नहीं करना यार काम पूरी लाइफ, मेरे को चिल करना है लाइफ में, मेरे को अपने घर देखना है, मेरे को अपने घर वालों के साथ चिल करना है, and I want to be respected for that also as much as I am respected right now for being a founder, because I think like abhi bhi, I know I get a lot of respect from people around me because I'm doing difficult things. I don't have to get I don't have to be respected just because I'm doing difficult things, right? It should be the default. And I think I would want to see a world where women are given the freedom to do whatever they want to do or not want to do. And it's not conditional to if they're respected or not.
That makes so much sense. मुझे तो हर दिन सुबह उठती हूँ तो हो क्या यार मेरे को I want to chill. I don't want to be like this perfect woman that every Women's Day you're told कि अरे you're a perfect mother, boss lady.
मेरे में बहुत problems है. मैं परफेक्ट नहीं हूँ बिल्कुल भी, और मुझे होना भी नहीं है. मेरे को फाइट ही नहीं लड़नी. मैं जो हूँ जैसी हूँ अच्छी हूँ, जिसको नहीं पसंद भाड़ में जाओ.
I reject the fight. I started up for the first time in 2014, and more men have helped me than women, who I know also, who are successful, and they wouldn't give me contacts, etc., etc. So yes, it is a common belief in the society कि woman ही woman की दुश्मन होती है. The most successful women don't even want to give you tips because मैंने struggle किया है तो तू भी कर. Tell me how it is with Karishma, and tell me what do you feel about this?
I think मतलब ये ना evolutionary है, limited resources है, limited औरतें को glass ceiling तोड़ने का मौका मिलता है. उसमें भी हमें आपस में लड़ना पड़ता है ना. Like if there's one opportunity and 10 of us are there who are eligible for it, we would want to get it and cut the other person, right? Now, this is obviously a big challenge because if we don't support each other, who else would, right? So I understand why this came into being, but I also think that if you come with privilege and if you have the resources to change this, you should. Because yes, औरत ही औरत की दुश्मन है etc. In certain cases जहाँ उनके पास ऑप्शन ही नहीं है ना, उनको भी तो आगे निकलना है लाइफ में, बट जहाँ आपके पास ऑप्शन है, आप क्यों नहीं एक दूसरे का साथ दोगे? End of the day, we want not just what's good for us, but also what's good for our kind, right? And that's the whole idea of sisterhood. For me, working with Karishma has been insanely beneficial because she gets not just me, she also gets the people we're building for. Because she's also building it for herself, right? And we come with shared beliefs and complementary skills. In cases where our skills also overlap, it takes a lot of humility to say, okay, you're better at this, you do it, this is what my feedback is on this, right? And you work together. You need to build in that strength. And if Diksha, I'm not treating you as my competitor, right? If we're working together, and we have worked together on certain things in the past, if we're providing or opening doors for each other, I'm also doing that for future me, right? Today you're here, you've called me here, invited me here because in the past we've worked together and have had a great relationship and a great friendship, right? उसमें अगर हम competition देखें, then we have only a limited bandwidth, because if you're bloody good at what you do, there'll be a limited time you can compete with others. But if you want to sustain this for long, you have to collaborate. And I think the best way to do this is to work with people who get you, and women get each other better than anyone else would. And it's great, frankly, right? Like that men are sponsors. They should be. Like there's no reason why they shouldn't be our sponsors.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be supportive of us. But when men don't support us, it's considered the norm as well. क्योंकि वो क्यों करेंगे, वो अपने जैसों को करेंगे. And when women don't support us, it's कि उस औरत की गलती है. Or like, you know, womankind is different. Yeah. And that's very challenging because in one case we're blaming one person for not being supportive, and in the other case we're blaming the entire gender for not being supportive, and only one person hasn't.
Oh no, that's such a good point. Yeah, I think this is a $20 trillion opportunity, right? If you have more women in leadership positions, and that will only happen if there are more CEOs on the table. So it is a proven thing that sustainability, peace, in सब चीज़ों में अगर women ज़्यादा leaders हुई तो हम लोग का it will be better, more successful. We'll be making more development there. But you don't have as much representation in the peace table, for example, right? Something you said very interesting is that, and I've heard it before, and I've asked my mentor कि यार आप मेरे को इतना advice दे रहे हो, you're making these contacts. This is just first few months when I had met him. What am I giving you? Because I don't have advisory equity. मेरे को पता भी नहीं है कि मैं next company बनाऊंगी उसमें is it big enough for you to कि यार मैं ले लूँगा equity, right? And he told me कि यार anything you do for anyone in this world, it comes back.
Absolutely.
He said कि तुम अगर founder नहीं बनोगी तो maybe you'll join Elevation. Maybe you'll be at a VC where another founder of mine can get help from, and I'll call you. I need help for content, I'll call you. And he would do that. And I have so many people who I just make one call to just for that reason, because this is an effect. This is a trickle down effect. You do good,
and
you
good
get
comes
good.
Back to you. I absolutely agree. I think the butterfly effect is very true, and it holds ground today. But also, when you talk about women in leadership positions or people who care about people, empathetic leadership is also, by the way, a function of our hormones.
Yeah.
Right? And it's surprising because how are our hormones related to empathy? But higher estrogen in the body, which is naturally true for women, leads to more empathy, leads to more care, which is why this whole, stereotype of women are better at caregiving. That's true, but we're also better at caring for countries then, right? We're also better at caring for families, and we're also better at caring for businesses.
And empathy marketing.
Yes, empathetic leadership is a function of your hormones.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
And I think it's high time that we start looking at it because our world is very stressful.
No, totally.
There is so much shit going on all across, and we're just fighting under wars that make no sense. We're not even going to be here in the next couple of years, right? We will be
here,
yeah,
Aruna. I'm here. I don't know about Aruna.
Okay, fair. But like, I'm the kind of person who thinks I can die tomorrow, and like my world ends there, right? So again, like that whole idea of I'm a small speck in this universe.
Yeah.
It's way beyond me, and I think we need to live a little bit more for others and the world than just for ourselves.
Okay, so great. Before you go, I want to know one thing.
Yeah.
Have you ever been called bitch or bechaari?
All the time, though.
So and which I think one? The best, which one do you pick?
I'll tell you what. I think this is two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
Because if somebody's like, I think the reason why it's two sides of the same coin is because we just don't consider people who work differently or do things that we wouldn't imagine doing as different to us. कि या तो इनमें कोई प्रॉब्लम है या अपने आप को ये बहुत समझती है और एक नहीं चला तो दूसरी गाली दे दो. वो वाली सिंपल सी बात है, कोई फर्क नहीं है. Like mindset, I think is still the same, and whether people call you a bitch or they call you a bechaari, right? And I think every woman who's daring to live life on her own terms is being called this. Every single day by somebody or the other. कोई खुश तो रह नहीं सकता ना इस चीज में. बड़े कम लोग होंगे, उनको संभाल के रखना है हमें. Yeah, I mean, it's the I don't know, curse of being opinionated, ambitious women, I feel, and a lot of times that includes dealing with opinions that you absolutely don't want to entertain. So for that, I want you to write an opinion that you would love from the society. And just throw it in the dustbin. Okay, let's do it. So I'll give you the page. What do you want, like a marker or a pen? Marker. Okay, then the marker is next to you. Okay. Here, I'll give you a diary also, so that, just for the ease of... अरे वाह, खुद ही लिख लोगी, ठीक है. Sorry, but I was reading it as horny. Yeah, maybe that also. I think that's also.
Don't be horny.
Okay, so don't be hormonal. As women, one of the easiest ways of delegitimizing our opinions, our thoughts, our emotions is कि PMS कर रही हो क्या? Period आने वाला है क्या? And I want to say this. Be hormonal. Own your hormones. Live in sync with your body. Own your bloody emotions. They are absolutely valid and you deserve to be opinionated. This is not your PMS saying or being bitchy or whatever. This is you having opinions and they matter. Be hormonal.
Hashtag we'll figure it out. Ooh, nice. I was thinking this. She's tearing it only. Tear it apart and then throw it. Super. Oh, wow. Sure, don't litter on the streets, guys. But that was good. I like it.
I'll pick it up after this and throw it inside.
But dude, thank you so much. No, really. Like, having you as the first guest has been a more learning experience than listening, So thank you so much. I will give you a hug like this. I don't know if it looks good on camera, but thank you for landing on the Bitchaari podcast. We love you like we hate you. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us everywhere. And if you've ever been called bitch, bitchaari, bossy, naughty, whatever the hell, please comment and share your stories. I would love to read them.